What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and today I'm checking out another collaboration between Supreme and one of the large knife makers in the community, this time the Boker Plus line. Obviously, I've done the Benchmade Supreme Bug Out, and this one was pretty controversial in the knife community, not so much on the video I posted, but just in the knife community in general. If you find this knife on Reddit, there's always a lot of hate for it. And I think there's a couple reasons. One is the billboarding on this one is as extreme as it can get. And two, there's always a bit of a markup on Supreme, and Benchmade also isn't known for being a cheap knife. But the Boker Plus version of the Supreme Mini Tech Tool, I got mine in glow-in-the-dark red, wasn't nearly as controversial. In fact, I haven't seen a single post about it, so maybe it's just not as well known. Boker is obviously a brand that most knife enthusiasts would be aware of, but casual collectors probably have never heard of, and so maybe that's why it's getting a little bit less hate. But the other thing could be that the markup on it, I guess, isn't as bad. There is a mini tech tool that's not glow in the dark that is significantly cheaper. This one was $52, still available on the website if you're interested in it. I'm assuming it'll probably sell out in the next couple of days from the time this video goes up, but at least as of now, both the red glow in the dark and the green glow in the dark version are available on their website. Now, I mentioned that's $52. The knife, when I first saw it, looked super familiar, and that's because I actually already had the knife, I just didn't realize it. And this is from Countycom. This is the Boker Plus keychain slip joint knife ultra day glow version. And so they don't call it the mini tech tool, and it doesn't come in a box. It actually came in like a test tube. And so didn't actually know the model name that this is a mini tech tool, but as you can see, exactly the same minus the scales. Now, the knife itself, oh, actually I should mention, so I was mentioning markup. This one is $52, the Supreme, and the Countycom version is $58.95. So the Supreme one's actually $7 cheaper than a comparable glow-in-the-dark version of the same knife. Now this one is much more limited. It's serialized with, this is number 170 out of 650. Not sure how many of the Supremes there are. And I'm also not sure if this is a serial number right at the edge of the blade. If it is a serial number, there's significantly more. This one says 11537, and so if it's also serialized, there's a much bigger run of the Supreme version than the Countycom version. But either way, they're comparable in price. The Supreme's significantly cheaper, so can't really complain about the Supreme markup in this case. Now, as far as the knife itself goes, it is a small keychain knife. It's a slip joint with the nail nick, no half stop on it, but does have a nice full stop and feels really good in the hand. It's super compact. It's not going to be used for any sort of heavy cutting. It only has a 2.05 inch blade. The handle is 2.76 inches, and overall it gets to about 4.72 inches. Again, with a nice keychain on the back, so you can just attach this to your keyring, and that's kind of a perfect use case for it, where it's a secondary knife that you take with you everywhere. It's on your keychain and really can't lose it. I did mention the glow-in-the-dark. I'll show that at the end, also compared to the Countycom glow-in-the-dark one. I will say the Countycom glows much brighter, but it's not a necessarily one-to-one comparison, since one is red and one is green, and of course glow-in-the-dark's known for being that green glow-in-the-dark, which is probably because it glows a little bit better than other colors. The Supreme branding is only on one side, and these are just a glow-in-the-dark polymer handle. I'm not sure what the handle material on the Countycom one is, but also obviously glow-in-the-dark. They are slightly different in that the Countycom version is rounded, whereas the Supreme version is flat. So it feels a little bit different in the hand. This one's a little bit thinner than the Countycom version. Both of them have the same steel, Sandvik 12C27, and both have kind of the same branding, the only difference being the Boker on the Supreme also has the Supreme logo underneath it. So relatively similar branding, no billboarding on the, obviously, Countycom version is completely blank scales, whereas this one has the Supreme, but again, only on one side there. Super lightweight also. These both weigh just about an ounce, so not really going to notice them in your pocket. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to, or switch off the lights so you can see the glow in the dark, and we'll talk a little bit about there, so be right back. Alright, we're back. I flipped off all the lights in my house and charged these up for about a minute or so. As you can see, the green's a little bit more vibrant. On camera, it's not as different, but in person, the green is significantly brighter than the red glow-in-the-dark, and that's kind of to be expected. I think most glow-in-the-dark things are green, probably because it glows well, whereas the red actually turned a little bit more of an orange color. One other thing you'll note, which we're not going to be here on camera long enough to really see, is that the green also lasts a significant amount longer. So on the same charge, I don't know exactly where it starts dying off. It lasts a good amount of time, but on the same charge, the green is going to glow for much longer than the red version. So one thing to keep in mind, I also only charged one side, which makes it look a little bit funny on the back side where just the edges got a little bit of light. But on the front side, obviously it's fully charged. You can still see the engraving in the dark, but it's much more subtle. And also, again, a really orange color rather than the red, which is what I was kind of expecting. This one also doesn't emit as much light on my fingers, so even right up next to it, it barely adds any light there. But it does enough, and it's definitely something where if it's charged, you're going to be able to find it in the dark. You're going to be able to see it. It may not be emitting as much light as the green one, but it's definitely findable and exactly kind of what you want. Now, they're both meant as keychain knives, so pull out your keys, you're going to be able to see the knife immediately amongst all the other things on your key ring. Now, when you look at the green version, this one's significantly brighter and also emits light much better, much further away from my hand, and gives off a little bit of light so you can see more, whereas the other one's just really for locating. This one's actually emitting just a little bit of light. So not sure if that's gonna translate to the glow-in-the-dark version of the Supreme in green, because they are different glow-in-the-darks. Obviously the County Com is that ultra day glow. I don't know what it is, but this one's gonna be a polymer glow-in-the-dark, and so I would expect it to be brighter than the red, but still not sure it's gonna be quite as vibrant as the County Com version. But super cool knife. I'm excited about this one. I'm definitely interested in hearing what other people think about it. Like I said, the Benchmade was extremely controversial. Haven't seen any controversy with this one, so curious to see if people just didn't know about it. Maybe they didn't hear about it. Boker is obviously not as big a name for casual knife collectors as Benchmade, but in the knife community it's still a pretty big name. But also there wasn't the markup that we saw on the Benchmade, so maybe that contributes a little bit to getting less hate and also less billboarding. So really curious to see just kind of what people's take on this knife are down in the comments. But thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And as always, hope you have a great one. Take care.